I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. As usual, I'm your host, Dano. You guys, I got a great guest tonight. I met this individual on TikTok of all places, and what really drew me to this person was that she's working with a past guest that I've had on, Mr. Greg Ogle from Relic Films. And you guys, I'm going to tell you some of the stuff that she is about to reveal. I find very, very fascinating. A lot of this happened the first week of November when her and some of the people from Relic Films went out to the LBL and spent a week out there. And what she is going to discuss, you guys, is nothing short of amazing. But before we bring her on, again, I just want to say thank you so much for everybody, all your support you show the channel. We're quickly growing. And again, it's all because of you guys. So if you guys have had an encounter and you'd like to come on the show, please send me an email at thecryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. That's thecryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. You guys, without further ado, let's bring on our guest, Miss Natalie Smearman. Natalie, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad
Awesome.
glad we were able to connect. And again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for the invite. This is amazing.
Well, I am always looking to broaden the horizon of the Cryptid Podcast to get a lot of different people on. I mean, you are a rarity. And some people may want to disagree with me on this, but you're a rarity in this career, in this genre. You're a female investigator, boots
Yeah.
on the ground. And yeah, there are some, others out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you were to go ratio men to women, you guys are outnumbered by like 70-1.
Yeah, that is very, very true.
So it's always good when I have a female investigator or I have a female guest on, because they bring a different perspective on what they've encountered and what they've seen.
Yeah, that is true. That's very true. Because we have had some conversations amongst, different groups, and I get asked my opinion and I give my opinion, which is very, very different than everybody else. So it's a nice change.
Awesome. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What got you into this whole cryptid genre?
Yeah. So I grew up in West Virginia, and we always heard about Bigfoot. And honestly, nobody believed in it where I lived in West Virginia, Northern Panhandle. And we always just laughed it off. And fast forward a couple of decades, and I'm here in Florida, and I started hearing about Bigfoot sightings here in Florida. It was actually on the news. And I'm thinking, I think there could be something to this. And so I started to do my own research and studying and understanding about what it is, the different theories, the, investigative methods, and what they ate, where they were, how they lived. And basically, it was all just people coming together, sharing information. And it wasn't until June of 2024, when I attended a conference here in Florida in Ocala, that I got to meet a lot of great people, great researchers, investigators, and we exchanged stories. And then that's when I started my boots on the ground. And it has been an upward trajectory ever since. It's been amazing.
Yeah. I will say, I've been doing podcasting for like a year with this channel. And it's grown so fast. I still can't wrap my head around it,
It's incredible, because I know so many people are so interested and want to learn more. And this tribe that we have as a community, we have to band together and share information and share stories, because what I might experience here in Florida, somebody might experience in Iowa. And if they may think it's an isolated incident, when in reality, it could be related. And then you're putting evidence together, and then you're growing. So I think it's amazing.
Yeah. And I held on to my story for over 30 years.
Mhm.
And I, you know, got a chance to talk to Wes Germer from Sasquatch Chronicles, and he really put my heart, my mind, my soul kind of at ease. And I never really told him 100% of my encounter because I didn't know how it was gonna be, received, because I received a lot of ridicule, from
Mhm.
family at times,
Yeah.
and so I really didn't know. And the overwhelming welcoming that I received from it, I was like, okay. And then my brother Josh Smith from Mysteries Unknown, he had me on his show a few times, said, hey, why don't you come and be a co-host with me? And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure. And then he's like, hey, wow, have you ever thought about doing your own? Every time that you're on, people are like, we need to hear more from that guy.
Mhm.
And then here I am a year later, and because of this, I've met some amazing people like you did at your first conference.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you learn so much and you stay in touch with all of these folks, and it's truly a tribe where you're united together with this common ground of understanding and wanting to learn more about cryptids holistically. And then of course it kind of bleeds over to the paranormal and UFOs and aliens, and it all
Mhm.
kind of overlaps, but you form a lot of really good friendships and even family.
Yeah. And it's really cool, at that conference that you went to,
Mhm.
um, you met Adam,
Yeah, Adam Davis. Yeah,
and he kinda got you in touch with Relic Films.
that's correct. In fact, when I met him, we exchanged stories. He told me a little bit about his encounters. I told him, what my thoughts were, and we all stayed in contact with each other. And I always would post any information that I found. I know I did some investigating in the Everglades later in the year, and what I found was amazing. And so I posted it, and of course, we all stayed in touch. And in February, he called me and said that they're going to be filming, and they need a female investigator. And that's when I met Greg, and then the rest is history. I've been with Relic, and we've been filming. We filmed two documentaries so far. One, The Vanished, that is going to be released, and the premiere is the end of January, January 31st of 2026. And then we just filmed Return to Land Between the Lakes, Making Contact, and that was just last month. So that'll be released the end of 2026. And we're
Awesome.
also filming a talk show
Hmm.
called Beyond the Ordinary.
And where can people find Beyond the Ordinary?
That is going to be on YouTube, on Relic Films, that channel, the Relic Films. It's Relic Films, and just search that and you can find the page. And then also on Facebook, Relic Films Media is on Facebook. And then any of our shows, the links will be right on there. And of course, my page as well, Natalie Smearman, on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Films and media. All right, cool. Um, so you said that at the very beginning of November,
Mm,
you and Greg and Adam and probably a bunch of other people
yes.
um headed up to the LBL,
Yes, we did.
and you there for a week.
Yes. Rustic camping for a week in the wilderness of LBL.
Well, you've told me um a little bit of things that you've encountered up there. So I'm gonna ask you, as I jump off camera so we can
Yeah.
give you the whole thing, can you please tell us about that trip?
Absolutely, I would love to, because this is great. So we decided to do LBL. It was a Return to Land Between the Lakes, Making Contact, because Relic Films did film there previously and had some great encounters, and so we wanted to go back. And so we decided to do rustic camping. It was myself, Adam, Greg, Melissa Adair, And then we had members of NCI, we had folks from Seekers, and then we also had several other people there that are great investigators, like Martin Groves, who was just, I was thrilled to be able to investigate with him. So then we decided to have this one area, and we decided to do a lot of experiments. And one of the experiments that we did was with different pheromones and scents. And we did that all around the camp to lure Bigfoot in. And we also did that at a hot spot, an investigative area that Martin Groves took us to. And so we did the pheromones around there as well. And so the different techniques that we used was we went and did an investigation with a larger group, a larger team. Initially, and we were getting a little bit of activity. We saw some shadows, large bipedal shadows in the woods. We heard a couple things, but we believe that because there was such a large group, as well as there were several men were heavily armed, we believe that nothing was going to happen because they were afraid. So we went to several other sites, and we were getting shadows and different things, but nothing like the contact that we wanted. So we regrouped and decided that we were going to walk in very, very vulnerable. In fact, a group of women, there were 5 of us, and 2 cameramen went into a very big hot spot where we put the pheromones out. And we wanted to make sure that we looked vulnerable. The only person that was armed was Greg, and he had a small pistol, and I had bear spray. That was it. We had our thermal cameras, we had night vision, we had our regular cameras, and we walked in, and the goal is to make contact. And the only way that we knew how to make contact was to go in aggressively. Now, earlier in the week, while we were in base camp, we were getting Bigfoot activity in our base camp every night from these pheromones. So we were really, really excited that we were going to see something in this investigation zone. And one evening, I'm walking to the little portalet. It was a building with a hole in the floor. I got growled at. And it was extremely exciting. And the way it growled, I mean, I couldn't see it on the therm. I couldn't see it with my naked eyes. And it was just really kind of like odd. And so I said to somebody, I was like, we need to do something like that. We need to mimic that. And so that's exactly what we did. We walked into this hot zone, and I said, I'm going to mimic that sound. And I did that 3 times. And then it broke loose. From the high ridge, we hear boom, 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 and the ground is shaking under us, almost like an earthquake. And then I looked at Greg and I said, let's just keep going. Let's keep going. And I growled again, and it happened again. Boom, 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 and the ground is just shaking. And then all of a sudden, all this movement comes in around us. We have movement to the right, to the left. We are staying close together because we don't want anything to attack just one of us. So we have our therms taking a look. Nobody's seeing anything on the therms. We can't see anything with our naked eyes because it is dark. We don't have any flashlights, no red lights. It's just the moonlight illuminating what is around us. So it was kind of like, okay, what's going to happen next? So Melissa does a howl, and now I see a light up at the top of the hill at the tree line. There is a light behind a tree illuminating the tree. It's not like a light flashing out. It's just illuminating behind the tree. And I'm like, do you see that? And they're like, yeah, we see that. I'm like, we need to keep an eye on that. So we're making additional noises. We're growling. We're looking around. And then all of a sudden, a strange dog starts barking in the background. And now we're in the middle of nowhere. There's no houses around. There's nothing. And out of nowhere, this dog appears and is barking. We don't see it, but we can hear it. And then we hear what sounds like a car, but there's no roads. I mean, there's a dirt road, a very tiny dirt road that you could barely fit a car on. That's how we got to this place. And there's nothing there. So now we're really like, what is happening? And we're now hearing these booms again. And then the ground is shaking even more, but it's more rhythmic rather than not. So there's some rhythm to it. So now we're like, okay, what else is going to go on? So we keep moving up the hill, and then this light starts to illuminate even brighter at the top of the tree line. And I'm going, is everybody seeing this? So they all confirmed that they're seeing this light. And then Greg makes this really rugged growl. And I'm like, what else is going to happen? And so all of a sudden, out of this light comes a crawler. I see a figure crawling out. And I said, I have a crawler at my 12 o'clock. And then another crawler comes out. I said, I have 2 crawlers at my 12 o'clock. And then another crawler comes out. So it is this light is now in a perfect oval shape. And these crawlers are coming out. And they're on all fours, crouched down, moving on the ground right by the light. And I'm like, is everybody seeing this? And they're like, yep. And I'm going, oh boy. And now there's more movement to our right, more movement to our left. And this dog is continuing to bark and the energy. And then all of a sudden, one of Melissa, she goes, I don't feel good. She started getting nauseous and lightheaded. And then I said, get behind me. I'll try to block it. So she got behind me. And so she goes, okay, I'm starting to feel better. So she steps out from behind me. And as soon as she does, Jamie gets sick. She gets nauseous, lightheaded, dizzy. I'm like, get behind me. So she gets behind me and she starts to feel better after a couple seconds. Meanwhile, I'm still watching these 3 crawlers and they're just moving, just like ready to pounce. And I'm like, and then still all the movement around us. And so Jamie goes, okay, I'm feeling better. She moves out. Then they both get sick together. They just get really sick, really nauseous. And I said, get behind me. So now they're both behind me. I've got my arms out, shielding them. And then Greg goes, oh my God. And then this crawler, one of the crawlers comes charging after us like in a gallop, but it's like arms, it's long and lanky with these long fingers, and it is moving and it is coming after us. And he took the camera from one hand to the other, went to grab his pistol. I lunged forward and shot it with bear spray. And so it stopped it. It retreated, but we had to retreat too because of the bear spray. So I'm like, move back. We're retreating. We're moving back. I'm like, everybody get in close. We're looking all around us with the therm, night vision, just making sure that we're not being attacked. As soon as we get down to the bottom of the hill, we hear a loud scream behind us. Kristen moves around with her therm and she goes, I have a large bipedal figure standing in the field watching us. And so she films that. We're making sure that those crawlers are staying at the top of the hill. That light is still there in a perfect oval shape. And we're getting movement in the brush, in the trees, and all around us. I said, we're now surrounded. And so Greg's like, this is crazy. And we're filming. And then all of a sudden, all of the batteries went dead in all of the cameras. Backup batteries that were being used, all that were at 100% are now dead. I'm going, oh, we're dead in the water. So I look to the left and I see these red orbs in front of my truck. I look to the right and I see red orbs on the other side of the other truck that we drove in with. And then I looked to my left again and I saw a large Bigfoot move right behind my truck and disappeared into thin air. Like it wasn't even there. And I'm standing there in utter disbelief because all the years that I have been studying and now interviewing and learning, you only hear about these things. And not that I didn't believe it, but because these are from these experiences are from really legit investigators that are out in the field for all year long. And they're like, this is what happens. And I got to witness this. I got to experience this. Greg made the call going, listen, at this point in time, we were here for filming under normal investigations. We would stay here, but we have no batteries left. Our phone batteries are near zero. And he's like, let's just get out of here. So we get in our vehicles. And then as soon as we get in our vehicles to start to move, all of us feel sick. Like they are putting so much pressure and just energy into us, like get out, get out. And we drove through and up. And as soon as we turned the corner on the other dirt road, all of us felt fine. So they really pushed their energy to get us out of that area. Now, every night after we sprayed the pheromones around base camp, we were getting activity in base camp every night. They would we heard them walk past the tents. We had a big bin of water that we used for the shower. One of them started playing in the water. You heard the splashing. And then I stayed in a tent. Some other folks stayed in campers. For whatever reason, they did not like the campers. So they would walk past these campers and shove them and push them and bump them. They never did that to the tents. And we would hear whistles, rocks clanking together, rocks being thrown in the water. We've seen or heard them walking through camp, the whistles, the wood knocks. It was incredible what we experienced there. And then on our last day, I walked over to the water line and there was some softer mud where there weren't any rocks, and there were footprints of what seemed to be a juvenile. And it was cold. It was cold there because it's November and the LBL, and nobody was walking in their bare feet. And there was nobody else around. There were no other campers. Nobody was there. So we took photographs and measurements, and it was really an amazingly cool experience, Dan. Just such a cool experience. So that's it. That's the gist of our main experience. So I hope you enjoyed that.
Oh, I got questions.
By all means, ask away.
I have lots of questions.
Yes.
Okay, so when you sprayed the pheromones,
yes.
And again, I've hunted, I've used pheromones, to either mask my scent or to bring the buck in that I want or whatnot. What kind of activity? I mean, you mentioned growls.
Yes.
Now, was this activity happening the entire time you were there, or did it take a day or so before it started really getting going?
So the growls happen right away. Then we spray the pheromones, and that's what brought him into camp.
And
every night.
When you mean brought them into camp, are we talking just Bigfoot or something else?
No, we only experienced Bigfoot at camp, and there were 2 of them.
Okay. Can you describe them if possible?
Yeah. So what we experienced, it was in the middle of the night, and they were very, very curious. I mean, they weren't aggressive by no means. They were just very curious. And so what I heard was a lot of curiosity, them playing in the water, bumping the camper, playing with rocks. We actually heard one of them trip. They didn't fall, but they tripped. We heard that. And so, but we always, whenever we went out on an investigation, we always had someone there at base camp as a guard.
Okay.
And those guards had to push the Bigfoot back because they're out there, because the guard was around the fire, and here they come in growling and being like, who are you? You're alone. We can take you. And then like Martin Groves, he goes, Nat, he goes, I used some foul language and I yelled to get them back. And he guarded camp. The next night, Jim Powell from the Night's Watch, he was there. And he said it got so bad that he feared for his life because they got so close. And he goes, I just went in my tent. He goes, I didn't know what else to do because he goes, out there, he was just exposed.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you, because I've had Jim on and I've had Greg on as well.
Yeah.
Did Jim ever say that he believes it could have been one of the ones that he filmed on the previous time he was there?
He did not say.
He didn't.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Did he mention on, did the behaviors match, or were they similar to what they had encountered the last time they were in the LB? Well, last time he was in the LBL.
Yeah, it was very similar.
Okay.
And because this area is so remote, and there's not a lot of human activity in these areas, they feel very comfortable just to go in, especially if you're alone and you're very vulnerable. And if you walk into their domain, the last time that they were there, they got out of the truck and that's all the time that they had because there were two Bigfoot right there. One was standing in front of the truck and the other one was standing behind it. So in this instance, they were waiting in the woods for us. And I'm like, here they come, because we saw the shadows. I saw the shadows moving through. And so I'm like, okay, but they're not approaching us. It was almost like they called in reinforcements, and here comes this portal opening and these creatures crawl out. And it was the way I felt about it. It was like these creatures crawled out of this portal as like a guard. They were the guards.
So, okay, so here, this is the camp that I'm in. Flesh and blood. There's no woo factor. But hearing this and hearing other encounters, hearing Daryl Denton tell his encounter when he was with Mr. Groves, I'm gonna always call Martin Groves Mr. Groves until he tells me I can call him Martin, and I'm dying to get him on my show. I've been praying for him. I love that man, and I've never met him. He just seems like such a genuine person. But
he is.
When Daryl told me the physical effects that him and Martin both felt when they saw this thing appear out of a portal on the side of the road, I've never met Martin, but I trust him. I've met Daryl and I trust him. And that makes me believe that there's something else to him, but I have to see it to believe it.
Right. And I was right there with you. And I'm like, I want to experience that. All of these experiences that people have told me, this is what I've had. This is what happens. This is what happened over here and over here. And I've already heard about the portals opening up and these black entities come crawling out and are aggressive. I'm like, I want to experience that. And I did. And now I was in such disbelief when it was happening. I had to ask somebody to validate what I was seeing was actually real. And they're like, we're seeing this.
So do you believe that somehow Sasquatch communicated in some way, shape, or form for a portal to open up and these things to come crawling out? Or do you think that there may be an outside possibility that you guys were in an area and you guys stumbled upon this on accident?
Mm-hmm.
This is what appeared out of the portal, and the Sasquatch was there to potentially, and again, some people say, Dano, you're crazy because they're not your friends. Well, it depends on where you are, because the encounter I had, the sighting I had was very passive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were there to protect you in a way, because I've never ever heard of a crawler and a Bigfoot working together.
Yeah. I've only heard it once. And this was a report out of Tennessee that was caught on a ring camera, like a security camera. And this is an area of high strangeness and very just this whole area of land that this house is on. It's a friend of mine. He owns this property and he has experienced incredible activity. And he had on a camera a Bigfoot and a rake standing together. And we feel that it is a good possibility that these crawlers were rakes. We saw some AI done, and somebody goes, "Is this what you saw?" And they're standing upright. We're like, that's not what we saw. And then this in the AI, they get down and they start doing that. And both Greg and I immediately goes, "That's it. That's what they were doing. Exactly that." And they were moving back and forth, and then they just came at, and I was like, that's incredible. That's exactly what we saw. So there was a report in North Carolina that caught a Bigfoot and a rake together.
I'm trying to see if I have a picture of a rake on here. Let me see here. I know I have one. I don't want to waste your time, but
No, it's okay.
I'd have to load it. I'd have to load it up because
Yeah.
it's not in my gallery.
Yeah, it's really, I've seen pictures, or not really pictures, but a drawing of what someone saw. And I'm like, that can't be real.
Yeah.
Until we saw it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's fascinating. It's like,
sure.
are these, are they interdimensional? The Bigfoot that were there, they were not protecting us from these things.
Okay.
They were on the sidelines watching.
Okay.
And they were very much, there was a lot of activity around us. And then these crawlers, and they were crawling, came out. And then when that one charged us, Bigfoot never came out. They were still in the bushes, the shrubs, and beyond the trees. And they never came forward. And then when we moved back, that's when we heard that scream, and we got the bipedal figure in the field behind us, staring at us.
Okay. I'm going to load that picture. But so you said a dog just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, we heard it. We didn't see it.
Okay.
But we heard a dog barking behind us in the field where this bipedal creature was. We didn't know the bipedal creature was there. And so we retreated back down the hill, and then it screamed like a woman screaming.
Now, was it the rake that was screaming, or do you think it was
this was a large, very thick bipedal creature, and it appeared to be what people would say is a Bigfoot.
Okay. Awesome. So this is what I was looking for here. So is this similar to what you saw?
Yep.
Okay.
Except it was, of course, that is highlighted. What I saw, it was in the shadows. The
Mhm.
light was behind it, so it looked very dark. And as it moved forward and was coming at us, the moonlight hit it, which made it look a little bit more gray.
Mhm.
And then that's when I lunged forward and sprayed it.
Okay. That's my next question. Is about how close to you did it get?
I would say about 15 feet.
And you gave it a full blast.
I gave it a full blast. At that point, I needed to protect because I had two women behind me who were ill. And then Greg is standing to the right of me. He's trying to reach for his pistol. And I'm like, what if you miss? What
Yeah.
if, what if this doesn't stop it and it attacks? And I knew an alternative was my bear spray. And I'm like, if that doesn't work, then it is what it is, at that point. And so I sprayed him and it worked. He stopped and he retreated back up the hill.
Okay. About how long did they stick around in the area?
Oh, they stuck around quite a long time. They were monitoring us. And so they were at the top of the hill watching us for a good 10, 15 minutes. And then after Greg did that growl is when it came down after us.
Mm-hmm.
And then after we retreated, they stayed up there until we left.
Now, do you think that they popped up when and where they did because you were getting close to something that you should not have been getting close to?
Yeah, this whole area that we went to is very, very dark. Very, very creepy and dark. There is a lot of reports of hearing Native American drums in the middle of the night when there's no indigenous tribes anywhere near there. A lot of paranormal activity. A lot of people have seen Dogman there. People have seen a lot of scary things there, and they're unexplained. So there is something in that area that they don't want you near.
Okay. Did you see or encounter a dogman while you were there?
So when we first arrived on that first day and we were going to this location, it was myself and Martin Groves we were in the front seat. Adam, Greg, and Melissa were in the back seat. And we stopped the car, or my truck I was driving, and we stopped there and I said, I'm rolling the window down because I feel an energy. He goes, they're here. And I said, I just want to listen. I just want to sit here in the dark and listen. He goes, they're right to your left-hand side. They're right there. I said, I feel their energy like magnifying, like get out, get out. And then I looked over and I saw this bipedal with ears up, massive creature. And it walked into the forest. And I said, Martin, he goes, yeah, that's it. And I'm going, what are we walking into? And now where this area is, I'm not going to lie to you. It's what horror films are made out of. Just the road alone to this area is horrific. And you're driving in this dirt road, just forest on either side of you. And then you cross a bridge where I have a little truck. Both sides were being touched with trees and brush. You're making your way through, you're squeezing your way through.
Mm-hmm.
As I started to approach the bridge, my headlights hit a figure looking at us on the side of the bridge and ducked down really quick. And I'm like, did you just see that? He goes, yeah. I said, okay, here we go. And we drove in, and then we had the seekers 10 minutes behind us to be security. So we got there, turned the truck around. We made sure that the windows were down and the keys were in the vehicle, because in case anything bad were to happen, we could just jump in and go. So
Okay.
we started making our way up the hill. The seekers came in as security with long guns and night vision, fully armed. Even though we felt their presence that was there, nothing happened. We howled, we barked, we did nothing happened, but we kept feeling this energy. Well, Martin goes, he is very, very sensitive and can feel their energy far more than what we can, and can almost feel their emotions.
Yeah.
And he goes, ladies, because it was myself and Melissa, he goes, I need the two of you to go up the hill alone. We were a little leery because there's no flashlights, there's nobody, and we had security behind us, but it was like, if something comes out, we're dead.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I want you to go up to that little line. And he goes, I want you to start humming or singing. I'm like, okay. Now, mind you, we are getting a lot of negative energy towards us. I mean, just the pits of our stomach are in knots. I mean, you just feel heavy. So the only song I could think of was You Are My Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
So we start singing You Are My Sunshine, and all of a sudden, that energy went from anxiety, frustration, just like negative, to very, very calm. And we're like, what just happened? We're like, what? Do you feel that? Like, it just went from like heightened to serene. And we kept singing. And you just felt the whole mood just calm as can be. We came back down the hill, and he goes, they've never seen women before. Your singing made them feel comfortable and at ease, almost like a maternal figure.
Music soothes the savage beast.
So we use that methodology when I was walking, because, where our camp was and where the little outhouse was a hike in the dark. And so what we did was you would feel their energy staring at you. Like something staring at you. I would start singing, everything just calmed down. So I would sing every time I would go to the bathroom, because I would have to go alone, and like nobody was going to go walk with me. Mm-hmm. And so a couple times, Melissa and I went together, but we would sing if we would go. And it just calmed them right down.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They just, evidently they just really enjoyed it. It made them feel at ease.
So a lot of what you saw with what footage did you catch the most of? Was it with the whole portal opening, the rakes, or was there other times within this week that you caught a lot of pretty cool things on film?
Oh yeah, we caught a lot that night, a whole lot. But we did do other investigations in and around the area. And there was one area where there's a graveyard and then a path that makes a perfect circle. And so we decided to break off into two groups. And one group went to the right, another group went to the left. And I was a part of the ones that went to the right. Well, we got to these power lines, and I think a lot of people have heard reports of a lot of Bigfoot activity around power lines. We get to these power lines and immediately start feeling this strange energy. I said, are we feeling this because of the power lines, or is there something here? Well, just when that happened, Amy goes, I have something on the therm hiding behind a tree, peeking out behind a tree. So we caught that on therm, and it was just peeking around, big bipedal creature, really thick. And so it was Sean, who was a rather tall man. He was at the head of our group, and he goes, I'm going to move forward. As soon as he moved forward alone, it started growling at him.
Mm.
He moved back, and then this creature moved back. As soon as he moved back with us, it moved back that way. So then we started moving down the path, and we hear it walking, paralleling us. And then it growled again. And as soon as we got up to this little access road area, we see a fire way down at the bottom of the hill. And it was far away, but there was a fire. And there was a camper there. It was a truck and a camp, and like you could see the fire down there. And what we believe is that this Bigfoot was watching this camper, seeing if it can get some food, and we interrupted it. And
Man.
So now we're hearing movement from this creature moving parallel to us. We're hearing more movement off to the other side of us. And now we're moving. I'm like, okay, let's just move forward. We got that on the therm. Nothing else is happening. We keep going. We radio to the other team. We meet them at the halfway point, exchange notes. We keep going. And then we catch something on the therm in the forest that we can't even explain. It looks like a hat or a gnome gliding, floating in the forest. And we caught that on the therm. Have no idea what that was. We keep moving around, and then we come back to base where we were. And then we decided just to sit out in small groups. There was 2 of us to a group, and we would sit in the dark and just see what we could find. One group saw a large orb. Sean and I saw an apparition appear at the end of the road. This woman in this white flowy dress just came and then just disappeared. Others were hearing noises. So it was a strange night. We got a lot of stuff on therm that night for the film.
You know, I find that just absolutely amazing. And you know, people are they're going to ask, oh, well, where's the video proof? Where's this? Where's that?
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, they're filming a movie.
Mm-hmm.
They're filming a documentary. So
Yeah.
Even if I begged,
Yeah,
I'm not going to get it because they're making a documentary. So
Right.
that's going to be out at the end of 2026.
Yes.
So, and that one is called
Return to Land Between the Lakes, Making Contact. And
Awesome.
that is through Relic Films Media.
Making Contact.
So make sure that when it's released, everybody, you'll have to see it, because this is going to be, it was an incredible experience.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm definitely going to check that. I'm also going to check out The Vanishing.
Yeah, The Vanished is coming out January 31st. We filmed that in the Smoky Mountains. We investigated, and it's a very dark, a different kind of documentary. We investigated 2 unexplained disappearances that happened in the Smoky Mountains that have never been solved. And there was a lot of very high strangeness around this. And we went into the Smoky Mountains, and we got paranormal activity left and right. Almost every day we were seeing orbs, disembodied voices, knocks, responses to when we're talking. I mean, we did a lot of investigations, and it was profound.
You know, one of my I would love to go on one of these outings and filmings with you guys. Absolutely, I would.
Yeah,
But
it's a lot of fun.
I would have to be armed myself. I'm a firearms instructor,
Okay.
small arms expert when I was in the Air Force. But it's not Dogman, it's not crawlers, it's not Bigfoot, it's not ghosts, it's not the boogeyman that I'm
Mhm.
afraid of. I'm afraid of feral people.
Oh yeah.
That is my biggest
That.
fear.
Yep. Oh yeah. We actually got the privilege of getting a permit to get into Cades Cove after hours to do a paranormal investigation.
Really?
And we were with Paranormal 411, and we did an investigation in one of the churches and in one of the graveyards. And we just so happened to have a guide with us who was also a forest ranger. And so he showed us a map of the area. He goes, here's where you want to stay. Do not go off this path. He goes, do you see this area right here? We're like, yeah. He goes, that's where the feral people are. Don't go there. So it's well known that these feral people exist.
Mm-hmm.
And now, don't get me wrong, where he pointed is not somewhere that you're just going to take a little day hike to. You're going to have to hike in some serious terrain to
Mm-hmm.
get to where that is. And it's going to take a day to hike in there. So they're far enough away from people that they're not going to cause any harm, but they know exactly where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
So if we did want to go in there, we would know exactly where to go. But yeah, they do exist. There are feral people, whatever level of feral that you're thinking of, because there are, in my experiences, levels of it.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that just want to disappear,
Mm-hmm.
that they're tired of society and they're out there living off the land, kind of just homesteading it. That's one level, which is the kind of homesteading. But there's other people that they could have a mental illness. They could have some sort of, if I'm from West Virginia, not all the time are those family trees forking.
Mm-hmm.
There could be inbred. And a lot of people, if that happens and their family dies, they're left to fend for themselves. They may not be able to speak. They may not be able to fend for themselves. And they're in the forest alone fending for themselves. Or it could be these true feral people who have thrived in this environment for generations.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be very dangerous.
My whole thing is, and people may think I'm crazy, but it's cannibalism.
Oh, yeah.
That's my. I mean, I have a good friend of mine. I don't know, you may know him, Harley Owens.
Oh yeah, I know Harley very well.
Yeah, Harley is a dear friend of mine. I love. It's funny. I call him that kid. I'm almost 54 years old, so I call him the kid.
He is a kid.
And he told me about. I think it was his brother-in-law. His
Mhm.
brother-in-law and a friend were out fishing on a river. They were like wading out in the river wasn't that deep, so they're out fly fishing. And his brother-in-law got this really weird feeling, and he turned around and there was a dude standing right up behind him. And I don't know if he had a chest rig on or something, but he made a movement, and the guy dropped whatever he had because he had his hand behind his back.
Ooh.
And he dropped whatever and he took off running up into the woods.
Mhm.
And his brother-in-law walked up there, and there's a rock that this guy was holding that
Yeah.
this guy could have brained him,
Yeah.
But that's my thing, and that gives me, another reason why I don't go out in the woods. The encounter I had in 92 in Shelby County, Tennessee is what completely took me out of the woods the way I used to. I'd hike, and then I'd get off the beaten path, and I'd, follow a stream or follow a river or go up, whatever. And I don't do that anymore. So,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it's the LBL is a place I've always wanted to go, but I want to go with a group of people that have been there, people that I trust, people that know the do's and the don'ts, and don't have a problem with me, packing some heat in there with me.
Oh yeah. A lot of the group did carry weapons. But I will tell you that what we have experienced is when you walk in guns blazing, like with long guns
Yep.
and all this equipment, they see it.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to be like, no, we're staying back here.
Yeah.
They're staying back. If you really want to experience that, you've got to go in very vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So this week-long encounter, because
Yeah.
that's pretty much what it is.
It was.
That's a week-long encounter. You mentioned that you saw this massive Bigfoot,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just disappeared.
It disappeared into thin air.
Now,
It was massive.
what time of day was it?
Oh, it was at night.
Do you think, again, I'm not disputing.
Mm-hmm.
what you
No.
saw.
By all means, ask.
Do you think that it's possible that it dropped? Because we hear about how agile they are, even for their size. They're they have incredible agility. That it just dropped down on all fours and spider crawled away?
No. I thought about that because I'll tell you, the moonlight was just short of a full moon.
Mm-hmm.
The full moon was going to be the next day. That's how bright everything was. We did not need flashlights at all. And I'm standing there and I saw this creature and it was massive beast walk right behind my truck. And as soon as it got to the edge of my truck, it was gone. It didn't go into an orb. It didn't go into a portal. It didn't go in. It was like, what just happened? Now, I've heard of cloaking, that Bigfoot can cloak.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. I don't know anything about it. I've heard about it. This is the only logical explanation that I could even give, because I can't explain to anybody what happened other than this Bigfoot walked and it disappeared into thin air. I saw the ground. The ground was illuminated with the moonlight. Everything was right there. And I'm just standing there in absolute, utter disbelief.
I believe that their hair has something to do with their ability to bend light,
Mm-hmm.
to where it looks like they disappear. It looks like they cloak,
Mm-hmm.
but they could do something. I mean, and again, it's far-fetched, and I wish I could sound more educated, more intelligent on that, on like
I understand.
It's this
Yeah.
and it's that, and it's the chloroform or the whatever, and this and this. I don't, but it's a theory that I have.
Yeah. And I truly believe our government knows far more than what they're telling us about these creatures.
Yeah.
Because, I know there have been reports where the government will go into areas where a Bigfoot nest has been found, and all of a sudden the government buys up the land and now you're not allowed on it. Same thing here in Florida. They're in the forest. There are areas where the government owns land and they work on it, and it's very well known, but there are little tiny postage stamps of land owned by the government that you're not allowed on for reasons unknown. They're not doing any work there.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to investigate one night in the middle of the night. It was about 1:30 in the morning. And we walk, and there's an Indian mound. You walk down to the water. There was a small river, and across the way is a patch of land. Soon as we walk down, you hear a tree knock, a whoop, and a scream on the other side. And we can't get over there. Well, number one, you're not allowed. Number two, that river is infested with alligators. So you can't go in the water.
No.
And so you're just sitting there going, and I saw nothing on the therm because it was so, the foliage and the forest is so thick that you can't see anything on the therm.
And that's all in Florida, right?
That's all in Florida.
Yeah. I have matter of fact, I have a episode up where an individual, when he was a teenager, visiting Florida from New York, he saw a skunk ape, and the skunk ape killed a bull.
Oh,
and it's all well documented. He sent it to me.
That's incredible.
episode. Let's see here. Episode 124. Florida
Mhm.
skunk ape slaughters bull. He
I
said
believe it.
that his brother-in-law, and his cousin. There's a bunch of ruckus. They heard the rancher close by firing shots off, and
Mm.
so his brother-in-law and him and his cousin, they drove over, and they get over there, and they're walking into the pasture, and the rancher's out there, and he says, "I'm looking at this big Brahma bull, this big white Brahma bull, and it's laying on the ground, and it's got no head on its body." And they
Oh.
found that near, I want to say, near the back part of the pasture where the swamp kind of
Mm.
almost butts up to the pasture.
Yeah.
And he said that they've seen this thing, kind of watching the ranch out from the pasture. It walked alongside of their house
Mm.
when he first got there, and they saw it, and it walked by, and it didn't like stop and look inside, but as it walked by, it looked like into their house, into the window. So they ran into another, like a bathroom, and they were peeking out the window in the bathroom. And as it walked by, it looked up at them. And then so they got out of there. All the lights were still off in the house, and so they went out towards like the back part of the house, like a porch area, and it was watching them the entire time. Like,
Wow.
so yeah, it's I get goosebumps even thinking about it. But
Mhm.
it's crazy, on what we encounter.
Yeah.
We are a very small percent of the population
Yeah.
that have had this encounter, and why
Mhm.
it happens. I mean, like, you guys went out looking for 'em,
Yeah.
okay? Every single time, I never looked for them. I had my first
Right.
encounter when I was like 7 years old. I didn't realize it was an encounter until I was in my 40s.
Mm.
After I started really deep diving onto YouTube and the internet, and getting to hear different vocalizations and knocks and
Mhm.
everything, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I've heard this, I've heard this, I've heard this," you know? Um, but yeah, it's I'm telling you, people who are skeptic, and I understand it. I
Yeah.
completely get it, and I don't fault them for it,
Mhm.
but don't dismiss don't dismiss it
Yeah.
because you haven't encountered it. Don't dismiss it,
Yeah.
because trust me, things are out there, and a lot of people that have seen these,
Mhm.
they don't go looking for them,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
absolutely changes their life.
Yeah. So much. And after having an experience, you realize there is so much to this world that you don't know.
Mhm,
It makes you feel very, very small because there's so much out there that is unexplained.
mhm,
And I think my goal is to just bring to light what is out there, what we have experienced, and to encourage others, share your stories,
yeah,
share with other people, because now when you're sharing that, you're going to exchange information, you're going to build that community. And not only that, somebody else may have had an experience similar to yours, and now that's building evidence.
mhm,
So then we can all learn from that. And I think it's very important that we do that and support one another. Because I do know that not everybody believes in what we are studying: cryptids, paranormal, UFOs, aliens. Not everybody's going to believe in everything. And so I just really encourage you to really get out there and just talk to one another. Go to a conference, a convention, a festival, and to just learn more, build a network, because it's horrible to sit alone with a story and you're too afraid to go out because people are going to question it.
mhm,
I actually like it when somebody questions me because it makes me think
mhm,
in a different direction. Maybe I didn't realize something. Maybe I need to take a look at this in a different way. And so it may not be somebody trying to disprove like you're just making this all up, but it could be like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that?
Yeah.
And it's okay for there to be skeptics, because that makes you an even better investigator, because now you're going to look at things a little bit more thoroughly.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail right on the head, because now you're taking yourself outside of your box.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're looking at things from different angles, different point of views. You're trying to fit things into other boxes to make sense of everything.
Yeah.
And, again, it's, what I don't mind talking with people about it, but, sometimes I kind of get frustrated because I hear the same question. Well, how come they don't have a body? How come they don't have this?
Yeah.
Who says that they don't?
Exactly.
Well, how come they've never found a skeleton? Who says that they haven't?
Correct.
But yeah, I don't believe that they're real. And one of my retorts is, you believe in giraffes, correct? Well, yeah. Well, have you ever seen a giraffe out in the wild? Well, no. But they exist. Well, yeah. Then
Yeah.
you can't say that this is just made up. It's not real,
Mhm.
because you have tens of thousands of reports,
Yeah.
and how many hundreds of thousands that are not reported.
I know. So there are people that go out and see things and
Mhm.
actually have a class A or class B sighting and never report it.
Yeah.
So there's an app on my phone that shows all the reports. I know that is a tiny fraction of what
Oh,
is
yeah.
actually happening.
Oh,
And it's
for
all
sure. Well, I'm definitely gonna get the name of that app from you after the show.
yeah, yeah.
But, have you had anybody email you with any, like, "Hey, this is what I saw. I don't know
Mhm.
what to do with it. I don't wanna come on any show. Can you help me understand what I saw?"
Yeah,
Do
I
you?
have. And in fact, there was a gentleman that reached out to me going, I don't know what this is. This is in this area. And I ended up connecting with him and went out to investigate with him. And there was a lot of activity, a lot.
Really?
Yeah. So there are times, and there was this lovely woman who I'm now Facebook friends with. And I met her at the conference I spoke at in Fort Myers. And at the end of my speech, I told them, I said, make sure that you talk to one another and support one another and tell your story, because others may, feel comfortable to tell you their story. Well, she
Yeah.
told her story for the first time that night. And she goes, I don't understand it, but she lives in a very rural area,
Mhm.
and their backyard backs up to a national forest and a
Mm.
swamp area. And she goes, I actually think they watch over me and my wife. She
Mm.
goes, we live there, and sometimes she'll give, like, not food gifts, but little trinkets, and they'll weave something together and give it back, like put it right there for her to find. And
That's
so,
cool.
and then she messaged me the other day that she goes, look at this. And there was a print on her window, on the outside of her window, where they appeared to have been looking in. And it was like a palm print, like the side.
Mhm. Oh, I've
It was,
seen those.
yeah. So it was,
I've personally seen those.
yeah, it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, and it's funny, a couple weeks ago, I received an email just out of the blue, and I love getting emails.
Mm-hmm.
People want to tell me their story, and hey, if it's okay, if it's a good enough story, can I come on your show? Oh yeah, sure. I mean, if it's really super like crazy out there, I
Mm-hmm.
may think about it for a while before I
Yeah.
say yes or no. But
Yeah.
this lady is 73 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and her granddaughter helped her write the email.
Oh.
and she doesn't know anything about computers. She's like, I don't have time for this. There's more important things in my life to learn how to mess with a computer or whatever. Her granddaughter turned her on to my show, and she said she's watched a few episodes, and it made her want to tell her story, but she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to come on camera. She said she doesn't need any attention. She's 73 years old. She's got grandchildren and great grandchildren that get all her attention.
Yeah.
But she said I can call her Anne Marie, even though that's not her name. 73 years old, and when she grew up in a rural area up in northern Georgia, and she now lives in Florida.
Okay.
And she said when she was 13 years old, she was doing one of her chores. It was at dusk, and the way I'm imagining it, she didn't get into detail about the chicken coop, but she said she went into the chicken coop to gather the rest of the eggs, so there wouldn't be anything overnight or whatnot. As she was gathering the eggs, and this is why I envision it, the chicken coop's pretty big. It has a door on it. So you walk in and you have all these nesting boxes that the chickens go in. And then there's an in and out door, like little area door that can go out into the chicken run that's covered with chicken wire. It's all where they can not worry about anything. She said she's inside the chicken coop and she's collecting eggs, and she hears and feels something walking by, something heavy walking by. And she's like, did one of the animals get out? And then she listened to it again, and she's like, we don't have anything this big. And it was walking on 2 feet. She could tell it was the bipedal steps. So she cracked open the door of this chicken coop, and she's looking, and she says it walked right into her view. It was this massive, hairy creature, and she said it was walking towards the goat pen. And it stepped over the fence of the goat, like stepped over it, didn't put its hands down. She said it was probably 8 to 9 feet tall. It just stepped over the pen, walked up to one of the goats, grabbed it, and with a snap of its hand, took care of the goat.
Holy cow.
And it's standing there, and she's, I imagine, in absolute shock.
Yeah.
About that time, she hears her little brother. She's 13. I think he was like 10 or 11. She hears him come running out of the back door, hollering her name, because he's coming out to do his chore, put the animals up for the night. And as soon as she hears him hollering her name, she pushes open the door of the chicken coop and she screams at him. I'm getting goosebumps talking about this. Get back in the house. Tell daddy to come out here. And she said she looked, and this thing, it was getting ready to move, and it just stopped. And it had the goat still in its hand. And she said she looked at this thing, and it slowly turned around and looked at her dead in the eyes. And she said it wasn't angry. It wasn't. It was more shocked. Like, where did you come from?
Right.
And she said it turned, and in 3 strides, it was out and over the fence of the other part of the goat pen. And then she said it took off so fast through the pasture. She said it was so just fluid on how it moved. And her dad comes running out with his shotgun, and she's hysterical. And she tells him the whole story, and he believes her. He believes her. And so he goes back in the house. He starts calling up neighbors, because this was like at dusk. So it wasn't super dark, but it wasn't daytime. And the next morning, she said like 12, 15 neighbors showed up. Some of them had tracking dogs. All of them had firearms. Her 2 cousins showed up. Her brother and her dad went out, and they stayed out all day long till supper. and she would keep looking out the window to see if they're coming out because they went up into the woods.
Yeah.
And she finally, around summertime, she saw him come walking back through the pasture. And as she went out to talk to her dad or whatever, she heard one of the guys say, my dogs ain't never stopped tracking until today. And I guess they caught the scent
Mm-hmm.
and they just laid down. They're like, nope, we're done. We're not going any further. We're done.
Yeah. They were
But
scared.
yeah. And she said until she graduated high school and went off to college, her dad stood out there while her and her brother did their chores.
I'm sure he was terrified.
Oh yeah, but she said he was out there armed the whole time. But she said after that, she never saw any signs of anything coming back into the.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it thinks like, oh my gosh, this little person all of a sudden just appeared out of
Right.
nowhere. Maybe he got the heebie-jeebies.
And that could have been like, oh God, I was just caught.
Yep.
And it probably took off like, you're not going to catch me.
Yeah. But that's, her granddaughter said it, talk to Dano because he'll listen.
Mhm.
He cares. He cares
Yeah.
for people come on. And I do. And that's what I want people to understand is that by coming on this show, it's a safe place for people to come on the show.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad you came on the show.
Thank you.
I have one last question because I don't
Yeah.
want to keep you too late. What do you think they are?
That, I started out thinking they're flesh and blood.
Mhm.
Flesh and blood animals. As I have investigated and learned more, I think they're interdimensional. The Native Americans, the indigenous tribes, believe that they are spiritual. And I think it's a cross between spiritual and interdimensional. Because what I have witnessed over this last year and a half of investigative work and what I have learned from others, I can't believe that this is just a flesh and blood creature.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. With everything that people have seen, I mean, the orbs, portals, I have heard people encounter Bigfoot, then all of a sudden they go into an orb or they see an orb and then all of a sudden a Bigfoot appears. They are, in my opinion, they're interdimensional.
I'm not going to dispute it. I'm not going to dismiss it. I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. And the thing is that the beautiful part of this is that we can have different opinions and because we don't know the facts.
Yeah.
All we know is what we have experienced, what we have studied, and what we have investigated. And that's why we need more people to do this. Share your stories, share your encounters, get out in the woods, go for a walk, see what you find. You could find a little tree structure. You could find a print. You could find anything. I mean, we were out for a walk in Missouri. And we started hearing some strange stuff go up into the tree line, and there's a 19.5-inch print. So you don't know what you may find. So the more you get out there and experience things, the better it is. And then you'll have some fun too, and you'll meet some great people.
All right. One more quick question.
Yeah.
Favorite cryptid?
Oh, Bigfoot. 100% Bigfoot. That's my favorite.
Mine is Bigfoot, followed very closely by the Kushtaka.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
And the only reason that I that's on my radar is because my dad had an encounter with one when he was 16.
Oh, that's
15
so
or 16,
cool.
yeah. So up
Yeah.
in Alaska. So
that's even better. Alaska's where I want to go.
Oh,
that's
me
someplace
too.
I really want to go because there's some big cryptids up there.
Yeah, and you talk with Fred Roll from Subarctic Alaska Sasquatch. The hairy man is no joke. And if you have never heard his encounter, I'll send you a link to a live that I did because I every other Saturday I do a live stream and I'm doing a series called The 50 States of Fear.
Oh, cool.
And I did Alaska. on episode 5 now, so it's going to be California, and it's going to be this
Nice.
Saturday. But I'll send you a link to Fred, my Alaskan 50 States of Alaska, or 50 States of Fear Alaska episode, and he tells one of the most terrifying encounters that he's ever had. And yeah, that'll give you an idea of what's going on up there.
Yeah. That's terrifying. And that's something I want to experience. I want to go up there and do an investigation and see what it has. Cause I'm kind of like that thrill seeker that I need to, the scarier, the better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you and Greg want to do something up there, I can get you in touch with Fred.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you. We have
So-
talked about it and it would be for the future, but yeah, I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
the next time we go to LBL, I'll give you a call.
Ooh. Let me know. I can see. I got to look at my vacation books at work.
Yeah.
If I can get some time off, I'm there.
It's a ton of fun.
I'm there. All right. Well,
All
you know
right.
what? I want to say thank you so much. And is there anything that you need to let people know on how to get a hold of you, where they can
Yeah.
go, anything that again, we've kind of talked about it already, but let's
Yeah.
do one last plug for
Awesome.
So have at it.
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and YouTube under my name, Natalie Smearman. Also, Relic Films and Relic Films Media. We have our Beyond the Ordinary talk show out right now. Episode 3 will be airing on Sunday. And so definitely join. That'll be on YouTube. And then The Vanished premiere is January 31st, 2026. It will be streaming right afterwards. So if you can't make it to the premiere in Gardendale, Alabama, then you could definitely catch it on the stream. We'll have links out to show everybody. So subscribe to our pages, send me a friend request. And if you do have an encounter and want to reach out to me, you can message me through Instagram or Facebook.
Awesome. All right. If you want to hang out in the lobby just for a second,
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and close out the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You guys, what a fantastic guest. I'm going to tell you right now, I think she may have swayed me to believe that there's more to Bigfoot than flesh and blood. Now, I'm not saying I never believed Martin and I never believed Daryl. Now, Greg has seen it and Jim has seen it and Natalie has seen it and they have it on film. And you guys, we're going to see this. We're going to see this at the end of 2026. So remember, returning to the LBL or Land Between the Lakes, making contact. You're going to see that at the end of 2026. And hopefully we're going to see some amazing footage. It's going to prove some naysayers out there wrong, because I know they're there. Natalie knows they're there. And tens of thousands of other people who've encountered this know they're there. Now, you guys, I'm not going to get out of here without, again, saying, if you guys have ever had an encounter, you'd like to come on the show or just share it with somebody, share it with me, shoot me an email at the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. Again, that's the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. Also, you guys, I also support small businesses. So head on over to www.owliecoffee.com. That's OWLEYE coffee.com. That's a good friend of mine. He's a small business owner out of Cadillac, Michigan, and they are coffee roasters. Check out their website. And if you decide to buy something, which I hope you do, at checkout, put in the promo Dano, all capital letters, DANO. That's Delta Alpha November Oscar. And you guys will get 15% off your purchase. You guys, as my buddy Josh always says, from Mysteries Unknown, stay prayed up. And as I always like to say, you guys, remember, a legend always begins with a sighting. I'll see you guys on the next show.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?